What did the popular kid at your school do to go from cool to an absolute outcast? He got a bad haircut, was teased for it and threw a temper tantrum. He literally stormed out in the middle of class. He lost his spot as king bully after that. He got with me. For real. He was the most popular and I was the most unpopular. He was still always popular but less so after that. Now we've been together for 10.5 years and married for a little over 8. Semi-popular, kinda preppy kid. Tried to kill his parents by pouring vodka around their bed at night and setting it on fire because they took his CDs away. Joined a gang, moved up the ranks, ordered the firebombing of a rival gang member's house. Dude wasn't home but his 4 little brothers and sisters were, none of them made it out of the house. He'll be in federal lockup until the day he dies. She was pretty and fairly popular and near the end of the school year told everyone she had cancer. We were approaching the end of grade 7 at the time. Eventually literally everyone knew, teachers, other parents, other grades, etc., and it kind of united everyone who weren't typically friends, and that was kind of cool. Until one day, maybe a week or two, and a pair of girlfriends go to visit her at her parents' house and they bring it up and discover it was a hoax. She pissed off a lot of people and lost all her friends after that. Gained new ones eventually, but what a goddamn weird thing to lie about. Known party girl at my school was texting while driving. She hit and killed someone crossing the street. Her father was a sergeant in the police department. She went to jail for 6 months and then had to do probation community service. Not quite sure what happened after the fact. She deleted everything tied to her. This was 2 days after high school graduation. Pulled out a knife and slashed another student kid with the knife. Went to outcast status. Kid that got slashed became super cool and had a scar. Everyone wanted to see it. I can link to an article about the stabbing if anyone's interested at it. Guy got accused of rape at a party and nobody believed the girl, and people spread vicious rumors about her and sided with him. The whole thing seemed like everyone viewed him as a victim, and he played himself up that way. Until, a few months later, another girl said she had been raped by him at a party, and multiple other people at the party saw her hysterically crying and bruised afterwards. There were not so many people supporting him after that. He got drunk and finger-banged a sheep at an outdoor party. He spent the next 3 years as the sheep fucker. Added, everyone assumes he was Welsh or from New Zealand. This was upstate NY. Graduated high school. He turned into that 30-year-old dude that still hasn't gotten over high school. She was hired to dog sit for a neighbor when they went out of town. She decided to take advantage of the empty house and throw a party at the neighbor's house that got out of hand. Neighbor's daughter also went to the school and had to deal with a messed up house. Pretty big deal, and the popular girl never came back. Wholesome for once, I guess. All popular kids in my school were complete dickheads that bullied others. This fella, king of the hill, starts dating a girl from another school that was friends with one of the bullied kids. The kid told the girl what her boyfriend does in THT school, so the girl threatened to break up with him if he didn't change his ways. He stopped socializing with the cool folks and started getting bullied by them, and none of the other kids wanted to warm up to him. He was a loner at school, but he made his GF happy and he was happy. He was popular because he was a rebel that talked back to teachers, and insulted them openly. He became an outcast because he made the teacher everyone loved cry. Killed an infant in a car accident, completely shut down during senior year, wouldn't talk to anybody anymore. Got an 8th grade girl pregnant while he was a junior in high school. He eventually transferred out because everyone hated him so much. Well, everyone else grew up. He didn't, and doesn't seem to want to. Now it's everyone else's fault 10 years later. Most popular kid in my middle school was this big Samoan dude. Looked like he was 13 going on 25 years old. I remember he gained a lot of popularity when he serenaded this girl in class to ask her to the dance. He had music playing on his iPhone and he started belting out love songs while on bended knee. Later on that year he went from hero to zero when we found out he'd been molesting his sister. He got drunk and killed a family of 4 in a car accident. Well, the popular girl at my school tried to ruin the life of a really sweet girl because of boyfriend drama. When she realized people were standing up for the sweet girl instead, she lost her mind. Accusing the other girl and her boyfriend of property damage, turning on anyone who didn't swear loyalty to her, turning people against one another, screaming at teachers. It was a mess. The nail in the coffin was when she confided to me and 2 others that she was planning to put laxatives in the pastry she baked for the class. Obviously I let people know, and she became completely ostracized. She left at the end of junior year, and senior year was the most chill year ever. Guy got caught with a bunch of heroin in the trunk of his car, on school grounds, and was over 18 as a senior. Never saw or heard about him after that, but I'm guessing it didn't go well for him. Sent his girlfriend's naked pics to the whole school. This kid in middle school used to talk shit to everyone. He had nice stuff his parents got him and everyone thought he was tough and could fight until one day he started on a special needs kid. Nobody had ever actually seen the popular kid fight, he just was excellent at intimidation. Now a lot of the special needs kids in my area weren't just students who were mentally challenged, but had overall learning disabilities. Many of those kids came from very tough homes, and the special needs kid who the popular kid messed with was an absolute savage. He grew up in a pretty tough part of town but was really a gentle giant. He could play football, he was muscular, he could do everything the regular students could do except speak properly. A minor speech impediment. The popular kid challenged him to a one-on-one fight and got his ass kicked by the special needs kid. I'm talking blood everywhere, his clothes got ripped, one of his sneakers landed like 10 feet away, and to top it all off he even tried running away after the first few punches. The special needs kid grabbed him and pulled him back. It was a massacre. The popular kid not only lost all of his influence but didn't even have the guts to come back to school for like a week. If I ever saw instant karma, it would have had to have been on this day, because he was quiet as a mouse the rest of the years through high school. He graduated. Turns out, some learn the hard way that adulthood is not the same as high school. There was a popular cheerleader at my school that was in a bad car wreck and she suffered severe brain damage. The day she came back, some of her friends, aka the popular kids, sat with her at lunch. Every day after that though, they sat on the other side of the cafeteria in their normal spot and she was with the other special needs students. They would walk past her without saying a word. As far as everyone knew, her entire group of friends completely abandoned her. I don't think she missed them though, so silver lining, she seemed to be very happy most of the time after the accident. Not so much before. This was in the mid-late 80s, and every teen movie with a bunch of shitty preppies pretty much accurately depicts the popular kids in my HS. Killed 2 university students while drunk driving and then complained because she wouldn't be able to go to the bar and get drunk on her 18th birthday. Best answer to this happens between elementary and middle school. Our elementary was small, and we fed into a middle school with a much bigger school. Think 20 us, and 80 them. Most popular kids showed up on the first day, after only knowing what it's like to be the coolest kid in the small school, and tried to start shit with some random kid who was with 11 of his friends. To show how cool and top dog he was to everyone, I guess. Yeah, those 12 guys beat him up, and then made fun of him for years. He wasn't cool anymore. Just that fast. By high school nobody cared anymore, but he was never really popular again. Our star football player lost his full-ride football scholarship to LSU after beating his girlfriend into a coma. It's been like 8 years. But if memory serves correctly, he didn't end up going to prison or juvie because they lacked sufficient evidence. He eventually got expelled from our school because it had a zero-tolerance policy for fighting, and one of his girlfriend's friends called him out for beating her while in the hallway. He didn't like being confronted and tried to beat the shit out of the guy calling him out. Added, oh shit, this sorta blew up. Finally remembered the guy's name. There weren't any news articles directly about the incident in question. According to everything I could find, he got a lawyer very quickly and got the charges reduced. He got picked up by another major, a winning certainly a big underperformed his freshman year, and a newer recruit way outperformed him his sophomore. He transferred to a much smaller, far as I can tell he did not come anywhere close to going pro. Oh, also, I couldn't find out what happened to his girlfriend. I'm sorry. There was a guy that was pretty popular. He got really drunk at a party and totally didn't know where he was. He pulled down his pants, squatted and totally started to poop. He moved away immediately. He was a senior and I was in 8th, was well over 25 years ago. Well, he friended me on Facebook a couple months ago and I kinda recognized him. I racked my brain and it came to guy who pooped at the party. Poor guy. Call other girls sluts because those girls were trying to tell her that her boyfriend was cheating on. They were right. Strangled a girl to death. She got cancer. She was a popular cheerleader and ran with the cool kids. Then she got cancer and her hair fell out from chemo and radiation treatments. The cool kids shunned her when she got sick. She beat cancer and is now a pediatrician somewhere. I hope she is living life to the fullest and enjoying every bit of it now. Girl in my middle school was really popular, but she was also super nice. I was a total outcast with a lot of problems, but she was the only person who ever treated me like a normal human being. She came out as bisexual, and got bullied so badly she had to move schools. That popularity fucked with their mind and that made them lose sight of their grades. They barely graduated, drove drunk, ran a red light and T-boned a car, making the person a vegetable. He ended up going to UVA, and then got into Oxycontin when he got out. He died of an overdose a few years after we graduated. Got blamed for a drive-by. Basically, was a star track and field sprinter and jumper as well as football player. Nice guy too, a rather typical jock type, but he got along well with virtually everyone. He was definitely popular because he was extremely athletically talented though. He took the fall for a murder he didn't commit. Almost everyone knew he was innocent. He was not a violent individual, Just tied up with the wrong crowd at the wrong time. He's gonna spend most his natural life behind bars now. A true shame, he had a bright future and now he's a physically literal outcast from society, albeit not deserving. Drugs. You're the cool kid in 9th grade if you're smoking weed all the time. You're not the cool kid in 12th grade if you're addicted to heroin. Good-looking football jock, very popular with the ladies, beat the shit out of a special ed kid. He in turn got decimated by the football team, so there was justice, but that dude spent 10th 12th grade as an outcast and completely shunned. My high school class had like 1,100 kids. The school had around 3,000-ish. Popular girl did anal with a popular guy. Apparently he tore her asshole and she shat all over his dick and had to go to the hospital. He told enough people about it that it got around and no one could think about her without thinking about her shitting on a guy's dick. She hardly became a pariah, but she did become poop girl. Nobody's opinion of the guy changed much, which in my opinion sucks because him telling people about it was kind of haha shitty. There was also a very hot girl who told everyone about how she let her dog lick peanut butter off her snatch, but she was already considered to be weird as fuck even before that. Was a proper decent guy and footballer. He developed a persistent knee injury which cut his youth playing career short. He was never going to be pro, but he was the best we had. He developed a dependency on pain relief and became a massive dick to people and to his GF. Thankfully she stuck with him, and with her help and persistence he got clean, and the proper sound guy missing since our childhood was returned to everyone's delight. Pissed off one of the other popular guys, maybe by dating his ex-girlfriend? I can't remember exactly how, but every dude in school shut him out and he had no friends. Kinda sad because he was a decent guy and they turned on him at the slightest provocation. But that's how things were in my class. My class was known for having the meanest, cruelest cliques. We had a few substitute teachers who refused to teach our class because we were so awful. I'm glad I moved schools, that place was a nightmare. Dated me. We were in speech and debate together. Both did impromptu, and we would give each other random quotes and stupid cartoons to practice with. Spent a lot of time together because of it. We dated for about 2 days before people mocked her for it and she bailed on me hard to keep her social status. She never socially recovered from the sin of liking one of the nerds. Thing is though, she then lost all her nerd friends too. Not really outcasted, but a girl at my high school got cancer. I'm not sure exactly what type. I think it was on her lung, but I remember her talking about how it was pressing against her spine and that caused pain or motor problems or something like that. A lot of people started avoiding her after word got out. It wasn't really that they were trying to be cruel or didn't feel bad for her. It was more that it was an awkward social situation they had no experience with, and it was much easier to evade than to confront head-on. None of her close friends did this, fortunately, but lots of casual acquaintance grade friends. I was an acquaintance grade friend, but I was good friends with her best friend, so we still hung out some. That's not to say anything good about me. I'm actually super avoidant of difficult situations and totally understood why people were avoiding her. I've just never felt all that uncomfortable around people with terminal illnesses for some reason. Well, he wasn't the popular kid, but he was a popular kid, and it was a weird situation, in that not everyone agrees what happened, but apparently he sold some people some drugs and told them he had gotten it from a really trusted source and they were laced with something weird, and 3 kids ended up in the hospital and one of them still has health issues because of it. Due date a pig's eye we were supposed to dissect for $2. This very popular, good-looking guy lied about having an affair with a female teacher whose husband was also a teacher at the school. Literally everyone hated him after the truth came out. I was best friends with the most popular guy in school for a couple years back in middle school. He was great. But the rest of the popular kids, they were all cooler than me in my opinion, but he saved me a seat at lunch every day and we had our own lame handshake and all that shit. But that whole group never felt like it really fit me, aside from him obviously. So one day at lunch I decided to sit with the nerdy kids who played Magic. Never really got my popularity back after that. And I think I hurt my friend's feelings because he was never the same to me after that. It was never my intention to hurt him. But that's not the sort of consequence kids anticipate. Never got a chance to reconnect with him unfortunately. Cancer is a bitch and it took him a few years later. We left him an open chair at high school graduation. On the plus side, I'm still friends with some of the nerdy kids and we're in our 30s now. Magic isn't my thing, but those nerdy kids were great. They taught me that it doesn't matter what others think of you if you love yourself. I went to school with a dude who was well liked by just about everyone for the most part. Liked to party. Ended up trying to kill a girl who claimed she was pregnant after he slept with her at the senior party. He beat her so bad that her own parents did not identify her in the hospital. 20 years. He got out this year. Football player. Had his cronies hold a freshman kid down so he could teabag him. Kid reported it, got him expelled, And rightfully so. Just a few weeks ago everyone went to a party. I assumed he was drunk but he shitted on a table. Not a folding one, a $1,000 wood dining table in someone's house. In front of everyone. He got chlamydia from someone who wasn't his girlfriend. When I was a kid my best friend had a popular older sister who was a junior in high school on the varsity cheerleading team. A party got busted that the whole team was at. When it came out, the school kicked every girl off the squad and banned them from extracurriculars, but took no action against boys from the football team that were at the same party. Her dad was a lawyer and sued the school over it on behalf of all the girls. They didn't even win but the rest of the school hated her for trying to get the football team in trouble. It was a small community and there was a lot of bad blood over it. Her dad ended up moving so that she and her brother who was a freshman could live with him and go to another school. We were in elementary school when it happened and my friend stayed with her mom. By the time we got to high school it had blown over, but the separation was hard on her family and her parents got divorced. Popular guy he kind of remained popular, but was outcasted for a while. He bullied some kid and the kid disappeared. Everyone thought the kid committed suicide but he just came back one day and said his family went on vacation. Popular kid remained popular. Popular girl I wouldn't call her popular but she had a huge clique of friends and well. They would bully people they didn't like or wanted to remove as in change schools. My first real crush was forced to change schools because of their bullying. She would do things like find out information about you, send you fake love letters, or find out where you live and whenever they would drive by throw stuff at you. Once I got hit on the side of the head with a roll of pennies. Everyone laughs about that one. LOL I wish someone would throw money at me the concussion didn't seem worth it. Anyway back to the girl. She convinced this freshman that they would film a fun jackass-style video for this new website called YouTube or something. He was supposed to do a ghost riding the whip thing where he was on the roof of the car while no one appeared to be driving it. She was driving it and while the kid was surfing on the roof. She accelerated as fast as she could down the street while the kid tumbled off and fell into a coma. She said, it was his fault. I mean it was his idea after all no one was buying it. She was hated and only a few of her friends remained with her. She got popular with freshmen later for offering sex to them, but a few visits to the police later made her stop. She got pregnant immediately after HS and bragged about keeping her man. I have no idea where she is now, or how she is doing and I'd like to keep it that way. He seduced a quiet girl in school. She was really soft-spoken but super nice to everyone basically everyone's little sister. She was absolutely beloved by everyone in her year, and he was a year older. He was her first love, and he fucked her once, took her virginity, and then essentially abandoned her. She was devastated by it, and it broke her for the rest of the time she was at school. She went right into her shell and barely spoke to anyone. When he started bragging about what he did, everyone hated him. He even got beat up a few times because people were so angry at what he did. I have a sad story. There was a beautiful smart funny girl I went through junior high and high school with. Not your typical popular ditz, she was a genuinely nice person to everyone. Extremely popular. She was a rally girl, dated a guy on the football team, was involved in school activities, etc. And then in our junior year of HS she unexpectedly went dark side. She quit rally, dumped the jock and started hanging out with the skater punk kids. She started smoking cigs and her wardrobe went to all black. Understand that those things definitely don't make someone an outcast, but this drastic transition all happened within a 2-week period, and these changes stuck. She started dating a guy in a metal band, smoked bowls with us in the parking lot at lunch. Yeah, I was no choir boy, and being a fallen angel in general. None of us knew what was going on with her. I asked, but I was young too and probably not capable of suspecting the underlying cause at that point. I remember my best friend and I discussed it at one point, but we never really pushed it. One day at lunch she was out sitting on a bench in the sun and we were walking past, and she asked us to sit down. And she told us the story of getting raped by her mom's boyfriend. She was 15. So she didn't do anything at all to be outcast. She was just abused, and her reaction was to outcast herself. He diddled a toddler at his mom's daycare junior year and got on the sex offenders registry. One popular girl got really drunk on a night out and took a shit on some random family's front lawn right out in the open in front of people. The family took pictures of it happening and they ended up on the front page of the local paper with a headline about teens going wild. They blurred her face, but enough people were there that word got around who it was. Turns out it's hard to look someone in the eye once you've seen a picture of them shitting. Knew a girl, she was voted homecoming princess and all, then just decided she didn't want to do it anymore. I think she had a falling out with her friend group, started dating a black nerd and lived her best life afterwards under the radar the rest of high school. So it was a self-imposed exile. He gave up an interception for a touchdown that led to a loss in the big game. The entire school hated him. His football career never recovered, as he was so shell-shocked by that moment he couldn't throw right anymore. He wasn't like a top prospect or anything, but he did get the attention of some state colleges. He ended up with a scholarship to a school that hadn't won a football game in at least a decade at that point. He stayed there for a year before leaving college and coming home. He's done okay for himself. He manages several local car washes and has a family. Massive amounts of meth edit. Of course my most upvoted comment is about drugs. Thanks for the unexpected attention Reddit. Stopped partying. Improved grades. Got accepted into a good university. What an asshole. She came out. School is rough man. He tried showing off in his new Beamer homecoming night, crashed, and killed 2 other popular kids. He would have gone to prison if he wasn't sober. Not at my school, but she transferred to mine after this incident. She took a picture of her butthole with her face between her legs, so you could see said butthole and her face smiling in the same photo. She sent it to a boy and was then bullied and harassed until she eventually transferred. It still followed her a little bit, but not so bad. Throwaway, as popular outcast kid is still a close friend and knows my Reddit handle. In 8th grade, he was a popular, kind, and well-liked jock in a small Midwest school. He was showering in the locker room after basketball practice, as we'd all done 100 times before. But this time, he suddenly got a no apparent reason boner. Dude was mortified, and moved to one of the corner shower heads to hide and wait for it to subside. One of the other popular jocks saw it, called him out, and it was all over. He was ostracized by the jocks and bullied mercilessly from that time till he graduated senior year. They nicknamed him Boner and spread rumors he was gay. I don't know how he managed to get through high school with his sanity. Turned out well for him in the end. He dropped sports and focused on academics in high school, got into a good college and is more successful than the spags that bullied him. He has an amazing wife and kids. Literally eating bird shit out of a bird being used for dissection. Made fun of a cool teacher behind his back but in hearing distance, so the teacher obviously heard several times. The teacher dragged a leg slightly and the kid would drag his leg behind the teacher's back and laugh about being a gimp. His friends would laugh with him, eventually though they told him it wasn't cool. He kept at it though and apparently made fun of practically everyone behind their back. It caught up to him and everyone hated him but his small group of stoner friends. Eventually someone snitched that he had drugs in his locker and he got expelled. The principal could have easily not involved police but even he knew about how much of a dick this kid was. That's what you get when you piss everyone off and even the principal teachers don't give a shit if you ruin your life. It was when he got caught being gay at a football game, kissing a guy under the bleachers. Got her ass kicked by a sophomore, whole school ran over. Pretty funny. The sophomore was defending her older sister, BC. The girl who got her ass kicked was talking shit about their dad getting kicked out of the country. At my husband's school there was one guy who was super popular. In a bunch of clubs and spirits. Then somehow a rumor flew out that he let his dog lick peanut butter off his balls to get off. Never really bounced back from that. Guy was a total douchebag. Used to send random dick pics to my girlfriend and tons of other girls until most females blocked him. 3 years later he died of a heroin overdose. His brother is a great guy, we're good friends and he enlisted and is doing great. I'd like to say I feel bad for him but I don't. His own choices drove everyone away. His funeral is on the same day as another guy in his grade who died of cancer. Everyone loved this kid. Chances are no one will come to his funeral. I just feel bad for his family at this point. He wasn't very popular but this one guy tried to fart in gym class and shit on the floor then used his foot to try to cover it up. She had sex with her sister's husband. They both have kids with him now. Super loaded kid had his bar mitzvah and rented out the fucking MLB stadium in our city, and proceeded to invite only half of our 80-person class. He transferred to a far less rigorous but snobbier private school a year or two later. There was one newish kid who had just entered one of the cool kids groups when he was caught fucking his sister, yes his sister, in a school cupboard. Well he literally ran out of the school, and home, completely naked, so everyone saw him running. He and his sister transferred after that never came back in. The cool kid group that he hung out with, their rep really suffered. They had to split up and join other social groups. Popular girl got into an argument with our black principal and she called him the NWORD hard R. Shot my friend TC's prize champion bulldog. My friend TC worked with my grandpa on weekends doing fairly advanced carpentry, mostly building really high quality bars for nice hotels and pubs, and was paid well for it, $20 an hour cash. He saved up his money and bought a really well-bred AKC bulldog, champion health tested parents, successful show breeder. I know he paid over $4,000 for it and this was the late 90s. He even paid a professional handler to show the dog and got it a champion title at about 1.5 years old. Well, one of the popular kids was also a gang member, They wanted to scare TC, so they shot at him when he was walking his dog, and killed the dog. He loved that dog. I feel really bad for TC, but I had to keep my distance from him because now he is a hardcore Nazi. The kid who shot the dog was completely ostracized and TC dropped out of high school about a month later. Popular kid's house burnt down in an arson, then a week later his car. I think he died junior year in a drug-related mess. TC got his GED, then went to a private college and got his BA in organizational leadership, now owns his own electrical contracting company. Last year was my freshman year. So, there was this kid who was literally as dumb as a pile of rocks, but he was popular. He was also an ass, so I'd quiet people liked him. He was selling Juuls and other vapes to the other underclassmen. Well, this dummy stored all of his stock in his locker, and when the school did their locker checks, vapes and Juuls just come pouring out of this guy's locker. We were all kinda laughing. But, anyways, he got called to the office and asked to explain what the fudge just happened. They offered to lighten his punishment if he could tell them others who might have vapes. Needless to say, this kid ended up ratting on a good 55 kids who all got suspended in the Great Vape Bust of 2K19 at my school. No one bought from him again and no one really talked to him after that. Lol. He experienced a sudden bout of explosive diarrhea in the middle of changing for gym class. He ran out of the locker room in his soiled shorts and smeared liquid shit over every floor and wall he came across as he ran home. I mean, you feel bad because it could happen to anyone, but he was a real asshole that bullied a bunch of younger kids. He was out for weeks and transferred very soon after. Blew his fingers off in the talent show. I don't know if you could call him an outcast since people still talked about him negatively, but yeah. 3.5 fingers lowered him on the high school totem pole. Well, when I was in high school, the cool kid did classic burnout things which made him cool. And now he does hardcore burnout things like smoke crack. In 6th form only the Chavets stayed on, so they no longer had a big load of Chav boys giving them attention. They became a lot more friendly to the other social groups shortly thereafter. His mom institutionalized him, literally sent him to a psych ward because she found out he was smoking weed. The senior prank at our high school: some popular guys stole animals from a local petting zoo farm where the animals freely roamed, and put them on the football field. The worst part is that they spray painted them with staff names and some had to be euthanized because of the paint. Now the animals are fenced in and there is a plaque above the enclosure explaining that our high school students are basically a bunch of assholes. He told everyone he was moving to Asia or something. Oh my god guys, I'm going to miss you all so much. They even gave him goodbye presents and stuff. Turns out he only went on vacation to Asia, so when he came back 2 weeks later everyone was pissed. I was the popular kid going into senior year. Realized I loved art more than athletics, football, baseball. Dropped sports and started painting. My parents were absolutely devastated and my longtime friends became distant. Now I'm a junior in college with a cat, working to be an animator, and have D&D on Sundays. Couldn't be happier in my life. He got arrested, along with his dad, for production, possession and sale of both meth and assault weapons. She was raped. It changed her completely. She went from confident, smiling, optimistic, and downright cute, that's what we said back then, cute, to dark, depressed, apathetic. Nobody knew what to do to help her. This was early 1970s. There was some awareness, but rapists regularly got away with it. Her rapist got off scot-free, and he attended the same school, so she had to face him daily. I knew who it was because I had just barely escaped the same fate. We're talking about 14-15-year-old girls, and we didn't have much support from adults in our community. It was the age of boys will be boys, and we were supposed to suck it up. Our boy, at the start of 7th grade, a police came to our school and took one of really popular kids who was grade younger than me. How it turns out is that he over the summer got a BJ from a classmate of mine while another girl from my class filmed it. It wouldn't have turned to anything if that girl sent it around Facebook. This was at the time when Facebook was really popular and soon enough everyone knew. So when older students found out, they started blackmailing him about making a porn site with those videos. He kept giving them money until a few weeks after school started he had no more money and started thinking about suicide. That is when school found out what was going on and they called the cops. Some of the students that had blackmailed him had charges on them, children pornography and stuff. I am not really sure because it has been quite a while back. We all need to deleted videos that were still on Facebook. And our class had a lot talking about that later on. He didn't become an absolute outcast, but he had really rough time. Sorry for all the errors, English isn't my first language. Told a classmate to kill yourself, and yeah, he did. He walked to the tracks in front of a train during lunch hour. The kid and his family ended up moving to a different state. She was voted class president in the 6th grade, and over summer, from the huge leap from grammar school to junior high school, she found rock music and wore aviator sunglasses to math class on the first day of school. No one invited her to cupcake parties after that. X200B me. It was me. She ended up being friends with the wrong guys and blaming us for not being nice to her. Moved class and eventually moved school. She fucked a lot of people. That's what made her popular. She fucked a lot of people with herpes. That's what made her an outcast. There was a guy named Reggie who was a complete douche, but all the girls loved him and he was the kicker on the football team. He found out during his junior year that he had HIV. He also was accused by several students of rape and molestation. He died last November of AIDS. At my old high school, a guy that was pretty popular lost all respect when he slapped his girlfriend in the face in the lunchroom and knocked out her friend who had a baby arms free. I don't know the medical term when she tried to get him away from her. He lost a lot that day, including a pint of blood when about 6 guys stomped him into the floor. He got busted for being a serial rapist right before graduation. This was a pretty popular guy, was nice to just about everyone. Then it came down that over the course of 2 years he had raped 5 women. Some people tried to say it was a bunch of bullshit, but DNA doesn't fucking lie. Worst part of this is that the son of a bitch is only getting 40 years with eligibility for parole in 20. Added, I should mention that where I'm from, all of the charges are punishable by up to life in prison. He fucked a dead rabbit at school and is still Mr. Cool with so many people and all the girls swoon over him. I bet they can't wait to get some rodent dicks. When we all graduated and they kept going to high school parties in their 20s. When you grow up, sometimes you realize the cool kids were losers and the losers were actually pretty good guys. I was never super popular, but I wasn't a loser either. Wish I spent more time talking to everyone rather than trying to be friends with the cool kids. Accidentally kill her boyfriend with her car. Murder his 6-month-old daughter. Wasn't the most popular, but one of the popular kids. Then he went home on the first day of high school and blew his head off with a shotgun. There wasn't like one popular group, but a well-liked girl in school was known for being pretty, nice and smart. She got pregnant our junior year and dropped out of school, coming back the next year. She graduated with us, but she wasn't so surrounded with friends as she was previously. Instead, she had about 3 friends she always hung out with and didn't really go out of her way to talk to anyone else. She's still really pretty, nice, and smart. She just also has a pretty, nice, and smart daughter too. Didn't attend school with her, but her fall from grace was reported in the news. Very pretty, popular girl from a very wealthy family. She would drive her dad's Porsche to school. Ended up getting into huffing those dust-off cans. She would inhale this shit while driving and ended up slamming into a mother and child. 7-year-old girl died on impact, mother lost her arm. It made the news because, just like that affluence case, charges were most likely going to be dropped. The neighboring town where this little girl was from formed together and marched the route from one town to the other in protest, all the way to the scene of the accident. I think she ended getting 5 years, and ballooned to nearly 250 pounds last I saw. While these are depressing, I was expecting pooped pants climbing the rope in gym class, not killed family of 4 drunk driving. She made someone kill themselves and boast about it on social media. She literally bullied someone to suicide. She was popular to outcast within 24 hours. People hated her. There is a documentary on my school due to bullying and suicide. I'm not saying the name, but you can look it up. The person who killed themselves was my best guy friend. Fly high my friend, crying face. He taped Larry Lester's buns together. I don't know what happened to me, but for whatever reason everybody in 6th grade thought I was the shit, and then after summer it was like my time was up. I'm a funny fuck, but I'm definitely nerdy, so I don't know, maybe I had some really good jokes in 6th grade and then my 7th grade was kind of B material. But I really felt like somebody that summer just said, hey, that's enough of this guy, and that was it. I'm still an outcast loser. Shit on the hallway floor. This one is tough and I'll probably get downvoted for how horrible kids. She got raped and the story was in the paper. Instantly lost all her friends and ended up moving a few weeks later. There was this football player at my school who bullied a gay student. The gay student got back at him by giving the football player a blowjob willingly. He wasn't drunk. The gay guy told everyone about it and he had a picture of his pee-pee, which ruined the football player. He showed people the picture instead of posting it to avoid a charge for children pornography. I'd say he played his cards right. Today we would call this a pro gamer move. From year 7 all the way to year 11, there was a kid who wasn't popular in my class, but to the rest of the school he was. He was popular with all the scallies, people who didn't give a shit about people but themselves, and with underage kids. Particularly girls. He started dating a 7-year whilst in year 11. People in my class quickly avoid him, and quickly became unpopular. In my class. The rest of the school thought he was cool and funny. He really wasn't. X200B then, 3 years later in college, he was caught supposedly texting an underage girl to meet him at a location. Turns out, the person, who he was texting, was police pretending to be a underage girl. Promptly got arrested, Sent to court of May of this year and have never heard from him again. When the police got his location, the entire thing was live streamed on Facebook. This girl was a grade under me, and for the life of me I could never understand why she was so popular, considering she was on that edge of bitchy but funny, but also mostly just rude. Well, she let all of the high school game go to her head when she accused a guy in my grade of rape at a party. The only issue was not only was this guy innocent and was with people all night, he also had a girlfriend, as well as had been more popular than this girl, as he was literally the most popular guy in school. It was a huge deal. The police got involved. Phones were taken. They found text messages from her to friends stating she was trying to ruin his life because he didn't want to be her boyfriend. She moved away in the middle of the year and admitted everything. She's doing well now, but everyone who remembers doesn't like her. Recorded videos of herself fucking herself with a hairbrush and a toothbrush, not the handle, the metal part. Sent them around school. Everyone knows of her as Screwdriver Girl. And my brother and I are known as Screwdriver Girl's little brothers.